How many dwarves does it take to find a hidden great forge? Find out the punchline this week on Hapless Heroes.
Thick physically or like mentally?
Hello and welcome back to the Hapless Heroes podcast. My name is Dave and I will be your host and dungeon master for this evening. We are, of course, going to start this evening the same way we start every other evening by introducing our cast because, well, if you can't remember who our cast is by now, we're going to remind you. Starting on my left with James is Hoblet the Smasher.
Good evening, friendos.
To his left we have Mike as Lord and Captain, Quinn Southwind.
Always at my service.
To his left, we have Phil as Hedrick, the Entertainer.
Why is whistling so fun if nobody else enjoys it?
To his left, we have Zach as Pregnart.
My lips can't whistle.
To his left, we have Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
Hi, everyone.
To her left, we have John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
Hopefully we find Zero before this Baronar catches us.
And to his left, we have Francesco as Felix Fizzlebottom.
I have a plan.
And we return to the great citadel of Erackinor, somewhere out by the northwest gates, where the party has encountered some dwarves and are on a search for a forge.
Yep, looking for apparently the unknown, or the whereabouts of this great forge that Moradin had built into this fortress that I guess was only a rumor up until now. So we have you think you said it was 15 dwarves that were chilling by that complex that are just marching with us now through this big hall.
Yes. A great hall, very Moria looking, because, there were dwarves, and that was what was in my head at the time. So you get, columns and great big open spaces and lots of dust and crumbly rock, even though the place is probably relatively maintained-ish, or was, when it was a little more active up here.
I'm going to look at one of the dwarves of this group of 15 that's now walking with us, because I think we're heading east now down this large hall that kind of the one side stretch to the corner, right? Okay. And I'd be like, hey, so when Moradin was around, alive, you happen to notice him taking any trips out this direction anywhere? Maybe he seemed to frequent that might point us in the right direction of potentially where this great forge might be hidden.
The Allfather, he comes and goes as he pleases. Doesn't really check in with gods like us. Every now and again you'll see him. He's good. He sort of just appears and disappears wherever he wants.
Well, that's not helpful.
I'm sorry,
okay.
He doesn't exactly go checking in with the gods.
Well, I just never wasn't sure if, you just being the ever watchful dwarves that you are, if you had noticed, any habitual movements of any kind or things like that. It's okay. It's fine.
Are you saying gods or guards?
Aye, yes. Guards.
Oh, God.
All right, we found our
Makes it more
audio bite. I think that's the audio bite for the theme.
I think so.
Let me ask you, we've spent some time with our good friend Hoblet here. He's the only dwarven representative in our party, but Would there be any like space within this citadel that is considered off limits?
See, that's the problem about the citadel this size. We haven't even seen like a half of it. This place is gigantic. You seen the size of that cliff face? This is like the entire inside of it. I'm absolutely certain there's parts of it that were off limits. The best part of something this big is they don't even have to tell you. They'll just hide it in here. You'd never find the damned thing.
Great.
Am I going from Scottish to Irish?
You know, you were going
Love it.
from one
different
flavor of dwarvish to another flavor of dwarvish is what you're doing.
You have to bear with me. You see, my accent goes all over the place when I'm agitated.
And we're back. Okay, well, thank you. I guess we'll just try to see if we could suss it out for ourselves. As we're walking eastway down
Oi.
this,
We'll be with you the whole way.
I really appreciate
there was a
that.
shitty Australian I was trying to throw in there. It didn't go well.
It's fine. As we're walking through the hall, I kind of want to just we pass by, that southern sort of passageway that brought us in here. As we continue along, are there more recesses and passageways that branch off from this main hall as we start to go down, or?
Well, I've got good news and bad news.
Oh.
Yes, there are. Now that you look, there are passages in embrasures all up and down this wall. The problem is that there are quite a few of them.
Wait a second. I have a plan. I'm gonna look at the group and just be like, hey, do we have 10 minutes?
More than likely, it's unclear at this point how the battle's going outside.
John, I'm getting that feedback from you again, by the way.
It's really hot in my room, and I just want my air conditioning.
Damn it! I didn't hear it earlier when you were introducing
I
yourself.
didn't turn it on right away.
Oh.
Take your top off.
Yeah, I told
Take
you
your
there
shirt
were.
off.
I told you there were a bunch. We're gonna say that just for purposes of setting a scene, that there are 8 doors, 4 on each side. The bottom right one, or the furthest southwesternly one, is the one that you took coming out of Baranar True Silver's apartments. So that there are 3 more further in on that side. There's one across the vast hallway on the other side, and another 3 across from those other doors. There's maybe about 50 feet in between each of them going up.
Wonderful.
Felix, if you have a plan, I might also have a plan. I
Yeah,
can
I was-
locate any object within 1,000 feet of me.
That's great. So hang tight. We might be able to combo these effects here, but I wanted to cast Legend Lore, since I still have one of those. I think I still have at least one of those really expensive sticks of incense to do this with. Let's see. I have exactly one left. I want to cast Legend Lore, and what happens is I can name or describe a person, place, or object. The spell brings to my mind a brief summary of the significant lore about the thing I named. The lore might consist of current tales, forgotten stories, or even secret lore that has never been widely known. If the thing you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information, but I would argue that the Great Forge of Moradin would be of legendary importance. The more information I already have about the thing, the more precise and detailed the information you receive is. The information you learn is accurate, but might be couched in figurative language. For example, you may have you have a mysterious magic axe on hand. The spell might yield information like "Woe to the evildoer whose hand touches this axe," yada 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 yada. Right. So it's really just about. I want to see, based on what I already know, which is that this does exist, that it can open portals to other realms or within realms, and that Moradin himself built it here in Erackinor, right? Armed with the information I have about this, I would like to cast Legend Lore as a ritual, and try to divine more information about it, and hopefully learn where it may be located, or at least something that could point us in the right direction that Jarrell could then potentially use to locate said Great Forge.
We know it's supposed to be over here on the western portion of the.
This place is fucking massive, though, so
Right.
This is my way of trying to get a little bit more information to start with here. So, if you're cool with that, Dave, I'd like to do that.
Okay, so you're going to cast that. Just run by me the quick and dirty of what it's supposed to give you again. Trying to multitask, sorry.
I'm going to name or describe this person, place, or object. So in this case, I'm going to name the Great Forge of Moradin, the All-Father of the Dwarves. Okay?
All right.
It is now going, during this 10-minute process, I'm going to, be lighting incense. This is literally a very expensive stick of incense, mind you. This is a 250 gold stick of incense.
A lot of ritualizing will be done.
In front of all these dwarves.
Both pre and post.
Yeah.
I mean,
now that he's got a crowd, we're really going to get into it.
I'm going to ask everyone.
He got the big stick out, the Nag Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes. And it as it's lit, like it gives off this this purple smoke.
Ooh.
Purple smoke.
And I ask everybody.
Ooh.
I ask everybody to make a circle around me and join hands.
With each other or with you?
With each other.
Okay. Are we supposed to make eye contact with you while you're doing it?
Eye contact or no eye contact?
I just want to know how freaky you get.
That is your choice.
It's always eye contact because it makes.
Whose hands am I
everyone
touching?
Mine.
I think it'd be so funny if Boris is just in this circle of hands, by the way.
Is this the first time we've been circle ritualizing?
Just because Boris is here at the episode doesn't mean Boris has appeared yet, folks.
Right.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, but just for, a little bit of refreshing for me just to clarify it in my head, but more importantly, to just reiterate it for the audience that, yes, Boris remains
Here, but
nowhere
not
to be
here.
found.
What did those dwarf guards look like that you guys came across, the 15 that were sitting by the fire?
So, they are about as, I don't want to say generic, but stereotypical as dwarves get, except
You call
these
them
ones,
super old, right?
They're
Yeah, the
older.
long beards. They're the long beards, right?
Yeah. There's some long gray beards. I mean, it looks like a bunch of really short Unix developers all sitting in a circle. But their gear is definitely shown some wear. It's well maintained. The edges of their axes are nice and sharp. But the leather parts of their armor are a little faded. There's definitely a little patina starting to form on some of the more brass and bronzy parts of their armor.
These are the kind of dwarves you want to roll with, though.
Yeah, these are dwarves that are going to absolutely destroy some shit in a fight because they have seen some shit.
They're
They
older
in
than
full
me.
armor with helmets.
Yeah, most of them on their own are older than most nations in the mortal world.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Answer the question. Do they have helmets on? I think I see where she's going with this.
I would say about 50-50. They all have helmets on them. Maybe only about half of them have their bucket on. The rest of them have their faces out, because we don't want it to look generic if they make a cartoon out of this.
We're not big on helmets as a people. Very hard-headed dwarves are.
I mean, yes.
Open face helmets usually. You got to let the beard flow out.
Oh, they're absolutely open face helmets. They would never have something that impedes the beard. But some more pragmatic dwarves have learned that it's helpful to have just a little bit extra between their head and the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So as we form this circle, I noticed that Hoblet ends up on my left, and I immediately put a glove on my hand.
Yeah, I have
and just kind of daintily allow him to kind of hold two fingers.
I'm gonna say right now, there, Hoblet, I don't think it's because you have coarse hands that he's putting a glove on.
Although my hands are very smooth, so I do that could potentially be a reason.
Yeah, mine are not.
Who's on my right?
So on your right, you notice a dwarf guard walk up that none of you had seen walking with you, but apparently just appears beside you. And that dwarf guard suddenly blows a giant pink bubble.
Okay. I just give her my hand. No glove.
Ooh. Just giving it to her with no glove.
No glove.
See how
No
it goes.
protection.
She's in an excellent
Wait a
dwarf
second.
disguise, so her hands are filthy. Like,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely gross. They make Hoblet's hands look like
Yeah.
super clean.
She's in costume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and entirely to your perception, Quinn, that is one of the dwarves. Just happened to be a bit of a straggler.
But didn't I see the pink bubble?
Yeah, after they rolled up next to you.
Sure, but
Like, yeah, you didn't have time to judge whether or not to put on a glove before that bubble showed up.
He's got like lantern oil all over his hands now because like she like Boris just was like rubbing essentially grease like all over her hands to look dirty.
I mean, Boris
Not
just had
only-
her hands in what was left of the meat pocket for most of the grease. There's
Just say
still like 3-week-old bacon in there.
it's not the
I
grossness.
forgot how much I hate that term.
It is.
It
It's not
is-
the grossness on Boris that I'm worried about. It's literally just Hoblet in general.
As terms go, it is really, truly visceral. Like in its most raw and elemental form.
Oh, yeah.
Emphasis on viscera.
But is everybody joining hands? Like that's really the
Yeah,
main point.
everybody is joining
Yes.
hands. We're just describing, we're setting a scene,
Okay.
and we're pre-ritualizing.
Okay. So yeah, the purple smoke begins to sort of like surround me, and you know, my mind is now filled with visions and a summary of the thing I described, which was the great forge of Moradin, the Allfather of the dwarves. The only stipulation you have as far as information to give me is that it's essentially what I'm learning information I don't already know about it, based on what I already know.
Okay, so based on what you already know, that it exists, and it is the forge in which the Allfather of the Dwarves did his creating.
Yes, and that it can open portals to other realms as well as within the same realm, apparently.
Yeah.
I know that too.
The image, the answer comes to you in images. It's not just like a description. It's not really directions or anything like that. But the first thing you get is the smell of dirty grease. Like, and I'm sure anyone who's been anywhere near any kind of maintenance shop is just primally aware of that smell. It is the first thing that comes to you, and there are other sights and sounds and images of, you see like what almost looks like proto-dwarves being created, and things being brought back to be made new. Looks like some weapons have been brought back here, some armor, some even like pieces of stonework have been brought back here to be renewed. And the sense you get is that this is not just where Moradin creates, but the place from which the fortress of Erackinor is sustained.
It's really interesting. So I can kind of like almost, you know, based on that, I've seen at least somewhat of what that area looks like, but yeah, I don't really maybe have any inclination on how the hell I get there.
Yeah. And the sustained, almost you can almost hear that word echoing in your mind, but it seems almost a little blurry at the beginning. It's not just sustained, but maintained. Like are the two words that are coming through most clearly at the end.
All right, I'm gonna relay that to the group. Obviously, I want to make sure that it's clear, right? That I tell everybody what I learned, and I thank them for joining hands. I know the joining hands was completely unnecessary, but Felix is not going to actually say that out loud. I just really wanted everyone else to feel like they were taking part in what I was doing.
Yeah.
I can do this by myself.
As you break the ritual,
Nope. Hey, Dave.
you feel a kind of almost inertia holding you there, and it's not like you're being held back by the shoulders, but almost that you feel like you're having to wade back out of there through piles of junk or something.
Okay.
I'd
I'll take
like.
that.
I would like Quinn to make a strength check to get his hand out of my hand. If that's okay with you, Dave. Since he decided he wanted to glove up on me and not some rando. I might just
right.
hold on for a minute. So I'd
All
like him.
Oh,
I'd like to
my-
my
Okay.
gloved 2 fingers.
Yeah, sure.
Can I do a stealth check of getting my hand like just out of the glove and just leaving the glove there for him to like
Maybe.
clutch
Maybe.
back?
Okay. Wait. Sleight of hand.
hang on.
Right. Yeah.
I've been hulking.
Well. I want to start this with a strength contest.
Okay,
Thank you.
no, that's fair. Because I wouldn't know to do the sleight of
I
hand.
like the sleight of hand, but that has to come after
You
trying
can
to get
roll
your
if
hand
you
out of
want
there
to,
through main
sir.
strength. So, Hoblet, what do you have?
He's not gonna like this. This went exactly how I wanted it to go.
Okay.
24.
A 24. Okay, Quinn, are you at, let's say, a 14 or better on that one?
I am at a 30,000. No, I'm at a 9.
A 9. Okay, so since you're more than 10 below, I will give you the opportunity to sleight of hand your way out of it at disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Yes, because there was such a
Firm
massive
grip.
gap in that strength check there. Yeah, that's a hell of a grip. Like, he
All
is
right.
aware of the fingers he is trying to grab onto.
hmm And I had planned this ever since I side-eyed you when you fucking no-gloved or rando. You no-gloved or rando, man.
I saw the pink bubble.
You saw the bubble after.
Oh,
All right, what you got?
okay. So I need a rule clarification. So
All right.
I have nat 1
Okay.
but at disadvantage, right? I also have the lucky feat. I can re-roll that 1, correct?
But then you still have to take the
You
lower.
can re-roll.
Oh, I still have to take the lower.
Yeah.
Yes, you can re-roll the die. You still have to take the lowest of the 2. I was going to be a little more merciful and say you could get
I
the
would
full
rather not
re-roll
nat
off it,
1
but-
this. So
I mean, if all things to nat 1 though, this is not the worst.
that's
I'm really
fair.
Is
I'm just-
this
I'm just
hard
worried
piece
about-
being worth burning your lucky feet?
Well, just also remember there's a reputation that Quinn is trying to protect as well.
You're going to
And
be
I
grappled.
already know what I want exactly. I already know what I want to happen. If he takes the nat 1, I'm definitely pulling him in for a hug.
Oh,
Take it. Take it.
that is
Come on, take it.
horrible.
Come on, take the one.
No.
Take the
I
one.
don't want it. I don't want it.
You're going to
All
burn
right.
a combat
I don't wanna-
feat.
I, well, ugh.
Exactly.
All right, I'll take the nat 1.
Yeah.
Come here, buddy. I love when we ritualize together. And he's gonna pull Quinn in for a nice bear hug. A nice, good, like maybe 3 Mississippi bear hug.
So to be fair, though, if you're pulling me into a bear hug and you're half my height, where does your
Yep.
face end up?
Right in your belly button. It's super uncomfortable for both of us.
The dwarf guard holding your other hand also doesn't let go and gets yanked into the hug from behind, so it's kind of like a sandwich hug from
Yes.
both sides.
I love it. Everything about this natural one.
Ew, did I just get...
Yup.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
No.
Unfortunate. We'll try harder next time.
Oh. By 2 technical dwarfs. That's
No,
disgusting.
real life dwarves. Nothing technical about it. Anyways,
This particular dwarf's beard is also now full of bubblegum.
Quinn is currently dry heaving while these 2 dwarves are like bear hugging him from both sides.
It's just a perfectly natural expression between a sea lord and 2 dwarves.
exactly. You act like this
Sure.
is the first time. We
While
caught you
they're
in a mannequin.
Anyhow, so
Yeah,
you've gotten some good symbolic information from your ritual. Quinn has gotten some good information about how much his fellow party members really do love him. And yeah, I think that's where we are right now. A dwarf has blown a bubble, and a few people have seen it, but I'm going to say other people have not seen or noticed it yet. So the party and 16 dwarves are now hanging out. Many are standing vaguely in circular patterns still, because
Yeah.
they move.
Well, I thank everybody for their cooperation. And then I'm going to turn to the dwarves again and be like, hey, by any chance, you may not know necessarily where this hidden forge is, but you wouldn't happen to be aware of any, I don't know, like junk closets, so to speak, would you? Or any places where that kind of stuff was dumped?
What kind of junk are we talking about?
I'm going to try to briefly describe, I guess, like what well, I'm not sure if I got any visions of that. I think you said that was more a feeling, right? Of like clutter and junk and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I want it to be impression type stuff.
Yeah. So, I just say to the dwarves, like, I'm not entirely sure, but I guess like maybe I'm thinking about maybe like materials, like actual forging materials, or things that could be smelted, or like maybe even like things as simple as like old dinnerware and like metal stuff like that, right? That would have just been thrown away somewhere, or cluttered, or just just all shoved, in storage.
I'm not sure any of them were Moradin's forge. We do have forges here. He hefts his axe a little bit. I mean, these things just don't grow out of the ground. I mean, the wood part does. But that's not the point.
Can you take me to to one of those forges? Maybe it's somewhere like attached.
Yeah, we'll go to the nearest weapon forge. We'll go across the way. One of these doors will get us there. And he starts stumping across the hallway, the echo of his feet going clonk, 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 echoing through this big cavernous space as he trudges along. To the exact opposite side of the hallway, he's headed to the door exactly opposite the one that leads to Baronar True Silver's quarters.
Okay. So north?
Yes, the most northwest of the 8 doors.
Got
Perfect.
It. Okay.
It's the exact direction we wanted to go in.
Yes, so exactly north of where you had gone to Baronar's chambers.
Okay.
This is definitely a place of some mundane creation. Not sure we can build a portal out of any of this. Let's go take a look. See what we can find. Maybe at least get some different axes.
Yeah, I mean, lead the way. Let's see if there's anything interesting here.
He does. And he gets to a thick oak door with big metal, iron bands across it. Yanks on it a few times, and it gives him a bit of a hard time. Anybody get any oil or grease around here?
Actually, as it so happens, I do, and I pull out the spritzer bottle of oil that we've been
That's
lubricating.
a fancy bottle.
Thanks. Yeah, we kind of came up with the idea ourselves. It's patent pending.
I don't know what a patent is. You can pend it all you want. Pend some of it at those hinges.
Oh, I do what I've been doing best this whole time, and I lubricate the shit out of those hinges.
Felix, would you like me to use my locate object?
I'd say once we start getting clued in, yes, because does that work? Like if the object is behind like total cover, you know how like divine sense doesn't allow you to do that, like exact location.
What would the exact text say?
All right, I got it. So, describe or name an object that is familiar to you. You sense the direction to the object's location as long as that object is within 1,000 feet of you. If the object is in motion, you know the direction of its movement. The The spell can locate a specific object known to you as long as you have seen it up close within 30 feet at least once.
Okay.
Alternatively, the spell can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, such as a certain kind of apparel, jewelry, furniture, tool, or weapon. The spell can't locate an object if any thickness of lead, even a thin sheet, blocks a direct path between you and the object.
Okay, I can dig it. I see how I'm gonna wrangle this.
So we'd have to, because you haven't actually seen it up close ever in your life, so that hinders us a bit.
And it might not look like what we think it looks like.
Well, I'm going to describe to Jarrell in as much detail as I can, and I'm not sure if this is going to require a check or something, because I have but I'm going to try to go into as much detail as I can about what I saw in those visions to describe to him, I guess, like what some of the objects in that great forge looked like. You know what I mean? But like, this is somebody trying to describe the imagery in their head out loud to a person for them to then visualize, right? So this could be there's some ambiguity here, and it's going to be dependent on how well I guess I'm able to describe the details to him.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, I've got plenty of stuff on definite versus indefinite articles too. But let's how are you describing this to Jarrell?
So when I guess in those visions I saw, right, of like some of the precursor dwarves, right, being created and all the things that were being used to, like, you know, essentially build and sustain this fortress. Did I ever see like any sort of significant looking anvil, for example, or like a hammer that looked, you know, atypical to all of the other types of, you know, me living amongst dwarves for a while and gnomes, right? I've seen plenty of, and Peridot, right, being a blacksmith, I've seen plenty of normal blacksmithing tools. I was looking for anything that looked of legendary importance in those visions, right? Like some sort of great anvil, like massive fucking anvil, or some, you know, I don't know, masterwork smithing hammer, like something I can describe to him for him to then locate use locate object on to point us in a general direction.
No. And in fact, all of the things that you got visions of, what would have been most remarkable to you is not how legendary they were, but how thoroughly mundane.
Ooh.
Like, there were hammers and anvils, but they looked like every other hammer and anvil you've ever seen.
Interesting.
And there would have been several, probably. The majority of that vision would have probably been less about seeing the actual hammer and anvil and more of the smell of burning coke, the heat from the forges, the clang of steel on steel. Like, those are really the meat and potatoes of what you got out of it.
Could we ask the dwarves if Moradin, if he had a particular place that he made his weapons, or he went to a lot?
Well, we asked him if they frequented any spot, and he said he came and go as he pleased. So, like, I think that...
Well, he came and went as he pleased, but now we can be more specific and say, like, where did he make his weapons? We're not just asking them, like, oh, where did he go? You know, where was he about? We're saying, do you know where he went to make his weapons?
Ask him, whatever.
Brothers, do you know where Moradin went to forge his steel?
You mean his own personal steel?
Yes, of course.
Oh, you could find that. You'd be the luckiest of dwarves there are. It's not the sort of thing that you'd allow people to know. Here's the thing about gods. Weapons, especially a god of war like him, his weapons are a part of him. It's very likely that they're created of his very essence, not so much forged from any mundane steel that we here have, but a part of his very being, his essence. Could you forge those sorts of things? Yes. But where would you forge a part of your very self?
I didn't know him. That's why I'm asking you.
Wow.
I mean, we know him probably about as well as you know Moradin. How well do you really know him?
Hoblet pauses for a second and looks up reminiscingly on the good times that he spent with Moradin. And then he just nods at this guy and just walks away.
I'm not trying to ask you what his favorite beer is. I'm trying to ask you the contents of his heart.
Blood.
Mostly blood.
It's just
Some
goo
other-
and juice.
Oi! Don't you forget cholesterol, thank you very much. We didn't get this thick eating vegetables, didn't we?
Thick physically or like mentally?
Yes! Thick!
Are we in one of these forges now, by the way?
You are heading down. You've gone through a doorway, and we're going to say that this conversation is going on as you're descending an abnormally long and wide staircase. And abnormally wide is just a little wider than your average hallway. This would probably be a good 20, 25 feet wide, almost like the great staircase of, like a performing center or something, what you take to get up to the balconies. But instead of that, it's just, walls on either side, and it goes down and down and down. We're talking hundreds of feet at a good, stairs pitch.
Okay.
Like, this door just goes into this hallway, it opens up, and whoosh, it's a straight shot. So a lot of, we're going to say a lot of this conversation has been going on the hoof, as it were, as you head on down, and probably a good 500 feet down and out. We're going to say the stairs, the stairs themselves are only maybe about 6 or so inches, kind of choppy for you full-size people to walk down, but regular size for dwarves and the other short folk in the party.
Nice.
Could I ask your name, good sir?
Which one are you asking? There's 15 of them. 16 of them.
The one, has it just been one that we've been talking to mainly?
Yeah, he's mostly been the foreman, the corporal. Hey, they call me Gerald.
Did you say Gerald or Jarald?
Hi, Gerald.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for your help.
Let me just write that down. Jarrrrrrrald.
Sure, that
It could be just Jarrrrld.
That's what I wrote. And I put the little umlauts over the A.
Yeah, I was gonna say or a loop-de-loop at the end of it.
Oh my god.
Dwarves are huge fans of the inclusive or.
Charles.
Is it blank or blank? Aye.
Well, Gerald, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for your help. Would you care for a drink? I got a little nip here in my pocket.
Aye. Never say no to a drink.
Why don't you go ahead and polish that off if you want? I got plenty more. In fact, somebody around here has something to drink.
What kind of bottle is it? Or is it a wineskin?
This is just probably a wineskin or even a personal flask, just something discreet and small that he would keep in his jacket.
Okay, so not really something with solid sides. Okay, yeah, he, puts it up, into his mouth. One of the other dwarves runs over and with both hands smacks both of the sides of the wineskin. And you just see, booze just filling the guy, just spurt everywhere out of the sides. God damn it, Jim, what have you done this time? All 16, well, yeah, I think I can speak for it. All 15 of the other dwarves are laughing raucously. After about, 3 to 5 seconds, so was Gerald.
Does one of those dwarves with a bubblegum beard happen to open a pocket full of godly dwarven ale?
Yet.
All right, yeah. All looks normal here.
Yep. All is right with the world. The dwarves just, giving each other a hard time, especially Gerald and Jim. They seem to be some real odd couple.
They've known each other for like 300 years.
Well, they've known each other for like the eternity of afterlife. So who knows how long that's been for them?
Well, they just met here.
They just met.
Sorry, we get a little raucous. We haven't all been soldiers our whole lives. Sometimes we fall back on the old ways of we were having fun before we had to defend this place every hour of every day. They can script you, you know. Otherwise, you just live a normal life, having a normal job. In a place like this, you'd think even in the afterlife, oh no, you get to, I don't know, pluck on harps and have wings or whatever it is the priests of Valinor going on about. But no, none of that. Just more life being a dwarf. Except forever. It's wonderful until you're under attack.
Yeah,
And Gerald starts leading the way down the stairs again.
Okay. Now we're going down pretty far. So this is giving me hope that we're still heading in the right general direction.
Yep. After about 500-600 feet, you guys get to a landing at the bottom, probably a 25 by 25 area and a big double door at the end. A good 10 feet wide and tall, even for dwarves, probably 15 feet high at the middle.
Can someone reach the doorknob? Because I...
It's a dwarven citadel. We can all reach the doorknob unless some of you have an aversion to bending over.
Oh, does it?
Gerald just walks up, grabs the ring on the door, and yoinks it open. It's dark on the inside.
Hoblet nods on, impressed.
Yeah. Must and dust are the first things you kind of get a sense of coming out of there. It's almost, even though it's dark, it's sort of a hazy dark, even as you open it. This place has not been touched in quite a while.
Edric will cast light on his drumsticks.
Edric casts light on his drumsticks, and the immediate area is illuminated. It is hazy with dust just hanging thick in the air and coating almost all of the surfaces. The room is sparse, relatively clean. There are a number of smaller anvils with darkened forges and embrasures along the wall, probably about 5 on each side, and then on something that almost looks like a rounded dais at the far end of the room. In what almost parallels like a church of Valen, except, not Valen at all, and definitely not a church. There's a much larger anvil, almost in the position like an altar would be in the church, right on this rounded dais at the far end of the room. The very large forge behind it is also dark and quiet.
Any way we can, I don't know, start her up?
I don't know. Did we get a light? A whole lot of firewood? Maybe some accelerant?
It's not in here?
I don't know, maybe there is. We just stepped into this room, same as you. Let's take a look around, see what we can find.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was suggesting. Yes, absolutely. Great idea.
The Hedrick will at least look to see if there's any notable light sources, any braziers or torches on the walls.
There are what appear to be maybe a few hanging from some wrought iron chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, but it seems that at least at the edges in the back of the room, that it was understood this place was lit by the fires of the forges themselves.
Fair enough.
So, at that point with, 11 large fires in a room, torches kind of seem like overkill.
Do I see any weapons in this room?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So in the spaces between all of those forges are racks of axes. Also a few swords, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of effort put into them. It really seems like the inhabitants of the Citadel favor axes for some reason that is just completely unknown. It's a mystery.
Edric's feeling like he missed his chance. When we were in the living quarters with Baron Art, there were tables with +1 longswords, masterwork swords. And he probably would have grabbed them, but he didn't think it was the right time. And then here, this other dwarf offered us some weapons, and he's like, fuck, I don't know how to use an axe.
Well, hey, there are some swords, he said.
Yeah, there are some swords. It's just there are a good 20 axes for every sword that's in here. Battle axes, hand axes, one-handed axes, two-handed axes, ones with hooks at the end of them.
Any double-sided axes, like a twin axe?
Not like a double-bladed axe, but if Darth Maul suddenly decided he wanted to get into forestry.
Yeah, pretty much. Not
Sure,
that I'd
why
be
not?
interested, but yeah, it just sounds cool.
Sure, why not? There's a couple of them. They're dwarf-sized, though, so I don't know. A full-size person might think
Almost
they're a
like
large throwing tool.
like if you had, what are those, halberds? Where there's like an axe on the one end, and then but it's like double axe.
Yeah.
Halberd.
Yeah, like slightly less, but still axey axe on the pommel. Yeah. There's definitely some of those. Even some that look like they were made for mounted combat. Which, when they go in dwarf size, some of them are even bigger than dwarf size. Like there's a couple of those mounted weapons that are probably good 6 feet long of pole between the two metal pieces.
Well, Hedrick will try to find a nice pair of hand axes, something that he can throw or, use a little more finesse with.
Okay. I would say maybe an investigation check. You're investigating to try to find them, and I don't know if there's a find shit check.
13.
13 is good enough. You do manage to find one mundane and one +1 throwing axe.
All right, maybe these will come in handy.
Everyone's distracted looking at weapons. The dwarf guard with the bubble gum in their beard has produced a tinderbox and a flask of oil seemingly out of nowhere.
Nice.
Okay. And this dwarf number 16 is, are they doing anything with it? Just kind of hanging on to it, milling around the middle of the room.
Nope, they're going to walk over to Gerald and hand over the tinderbox and the oil, going, Gerald, here you go.
Oi, thank you. Rookie. He leans over to Jim. Do we have any rookies on the squad? And for the life of me, picture his face. I mean, I'd recognize a beard anywhere, but it doesn't look right. This is a dwarf. I've never seen him before. Jim looks at him. It's because you're getting old. Oh, shut up. Gerald takes it and stumps over to one of the fireplace, to one of the forges. Need a little bit of kindling to get this going. Oi! We don't need all the axes in this room. Somebody bring me a handful of axe handles.
Can I just look around to see if there's actually any real logs or like actual wood to burn in here?
Yeah, there actually is a pile of wood stacked up on the right side of the room. It's, by this point, very well cured.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like stack a bunch of that like in like the bellows of the forge, where.
Which one? Just one of the ones along the side there, or?
No, if there's another one behind the larger anvil on the plinth, I'd like to stack it in there.
Okay, there isn't a pile near there, but I mean, with a little bit of elbow grease and maybe some teamwork, you could get a pretty decently sized pile in there in a couple minutes. I'm assuming that's what you want to do.
Yes.
All right, it's relatively easy for you to rustle up a couple of the dwarves who are just sort of milling around, either inspecting the work or just navel gazing or whatever it is dwarves do when they're in a darkened forge, and they help you set that up.
I would think there's a cheerful scene where we're all lined up in a row and we're all throwing the logs one by one in a daisy chain all the way up to the stack, and they're neatly tossed over the shoulder, which flip and land perfectly linear in a pile stacked up.
So you envision one thing, but you're thinking of a different kind of dwarf. They do it, and with shocking actual efficiency, but oh dear God, the bickering. Oh, the bickering.
15 assholes.
Yep.
Wow.
Two of them yanking on either sides of like a chunk of wood. Two of them have gotten in a wrestling match, and yet still, somehow after 3 minutes, all the wood's in the forge. You actually barely see any wood actually moving to the forge either, it's shocking. What happens?
I also, this might help. I have a forgery kit. No? No one?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, yes, but dwarf number 16 has done a much better job of forgery than anything you can do with your kit.
All right, well, let's light this sucker.
All right, so we are trying to light a forge, huh?
We sure are.
Okay. I would say one person who wants to do it, if you want to make a survival check. Who is lighting this fire?
So
He's got the survival.
I'm a +4.
So hold on.
I think it should be the dwarf.
Yeah, it definitely should be Hablet.
I feel like I feel like this should be lit by a dwarf.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, give me the damn thing.
All right.
Wait, could you use Sacred Flame on it?
Unnatural 20.
An unnatural 20, which is that's pretty awesome.
You should. I mean, that's radiant light. Be like a magnifying glass.
With your unnatural 20, you are able to do a reasonably good job lighting this. You even manage to keep at least 75% of the hair on your forearms. Like, it's a good day.
And it doesn't even touch my beard. Right. That's the important part. My forearm hair will grow back in 6 hours.
If that. And yes, what starts as a small little fire eventually consumes the wood pretty quickly and is now a roaring blaze in the forge. Yeah. It would take about 2 hours of this wood burning down to really get the kind of coals you need to be able to smelt, but the forge is now lit. I was about to say the forges are lit, but you really only lit this one at the back.
Well, now that the one at the back is lit, I'd like us to now light the other two.
Okay, there are more than just one on each side, but yeah, the other ones, if you want to light those, it's a trivial thing for this.
I was gonna say I kind of want this whole room to be fired up. I just wanted the one behind the anvil altar, so to speak, right, to be lit first.
All right, and things light up properly. The forges in this room are all lit. The smoke goes up and is sort of trapped by some sort of exhaust system that is just incorporated into the stonework. For having 11 fires in what isn't that big of a room, it's big. It's probably 100 by 150 or something like that. More than big enough that there is room, there is echo, there's space for all this stuff, and it looks sparse and clean. Even with 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 people in the room.
Okay. Now that the fires are lit, essentially, right? We have some time as the coals start to burn down, and just kind of have that good radiant heat.
Radiant heat.
Sorry. I'd like to see, aside from weaponry, are there any other interesting looking ingots or tools in this particular forge? Anything that may strike my eye, I'm willing to, attempt to investigate.
The tools are all pretty bog standard. You have, for each of the forges, you've got, your quenching bath, your tongs, hammers in several different sizes and weights. You've got the anvil. You probably have other blacksmithing and blacksmithing adjacent tools. Bear with me, as I'm not a blacksmith myself, so I don't know what other ones might be there. But you can assume that anything that would be a normal forge is at each one of these stations. The ones at the main anvil, which, to be fair, is a very large anvil. We're talking probably a good 6 feet by 3 feet at the top of just flat space on this thing. And it sits a little higher than waist high on a dwarf. So we're talking about 2.5, 3 feet up off the ground. Maybe about chest high to you, Felix.
Is there any ore or anything that could be melted, smelted? Are there any like ingots?
Yes.
Kind of floating around. Okay.
Yep. That is the other thing, is there are no less than 5 steel ingots at every single one of these stations, and a stack of 30 of them at the big forge.
And really just steel, though? Like no like exotic metals or anything like that?
Not to your reckoning. Remember, you only looked at it. It appears to be steel. It looks like steel. It probably is steel.
I'd like to investigate the ingots and stuff, and some of the raw materials at the main anvil, around the main anvil, to kind of maybe understand if there's anything maybe, I don't know, that catches my eye as something that maybe we should use, or that could maybe unlock another clue. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what we're working with here.
Hedrick will bring his glow sticks over to help you.
Well, it's pretty well lit in here now, right?
Well, you never know. Dynamic lighting and fires blazing. Sure, there's ambient light, but you might want to get some finer details.
Yeah, like looking for anything iridescent, or actually, I might even flip my magic detection goggles down too and see if any of these ingots or ores or anything like that resonate any sort of magical.
So, Hedrick, you're helping energy. Felix then? Yeah.
Yeah. So he can roll advantage.
All right.
If he wants to investigate.
I'd like to investigate.
All right, what specifically are you investigating again?
The raw materials.
The raw materials, okay. Make your check.
18.
18. These do all appear to be mundane steel. It is of the absolute highest quality. We're talking, this is pure steel. Like, it has been smelted by somebody who really knows what the hell they're doing. There are no imperfections. There isn't so much as a scratch on these things. It's like they are made of polished stainless. Mirror finish, you can see your reflection in them clearly with no distortion.
No magical resonance on those things, like as I'm looking at them with the goggles flipped down?
None at all.
How about on the anvil itself?
A very faint glow of magic on the anvil itself.
Understand. Just trying to think if there's something that connects all of this stuff together, because I was thinking about the feelings I had of what maintains and sustains this place. I mean, that's the forge, that's this place, right? But I also had that feeling of I don't know, things being cluttered, and I mean, I guess it kind of is here, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think if there's something we have to something we need to do in order to kind of start it up, start everything up to strike the anvil with, with something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Jarrell doesn't know a whole lot about dwarves and dwarven religion, but he's thinking maybe there's something along the lines of with the number of how many kilns there are, or something along those lines. If he can remember anything about Moradin and his foraging powers with a religion check.
Yeah, let me make sure I'm on Moradin's page real quick and take a good look at that. And sure, make a religion check. What kind of information are you trying to divine out of your knowledge of Moradin, by the way?
I'm gonna tell you
that was a
now,
1, wasn't
Dave,
it?
It doesn't matter.
Was it the natty 1?
It was.
Moradin is utterly fixated on the number 11. This is significant as fuck.
Okay, well now Jarrell is hurriedly rushing around lighting all the kilns.
They should all be, I was gonna say, they should all be lit by now.
Right.
Oblit, I think it might be up to you. But I think you've got it in you. Because this place is your bloodline, right? This is where you come from. This is all your people, man. I mean, I just know you've got it in you. Somehow, some way, this thing is going to revolve around you. Because you're special. And you're my friend.
Ah! Gerald cries out, Nay! Nay! We, the children of Moradin, we were built in forges in places like this. Oh, him? He's one of Clangin and Silverbeards. They all crawled out from under pub tables.
Oh,
From his toenail. As determined long ago.
well, friendo, you haven't been much help thus far. Hoblet's gonna kinda...
What have you done?
I'm not claiming to be Moradin's bloodline. As Hoblet's like not even looking at dude, he's just kind of like looking
Well, on you
around.
for not. Clangin and Silverbeard is his own wonderful, is his own divine bloodline. You don't need to take Moradin. Blood is noble on its own. As though crawling out from under a pub table is some sort of mark of dishonor. You don't know dwarves at all if you think that.
Maybe start to make a weapon. I'm in full ignore mode of Gerald.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, no. Like, Gerald's whole point was his people are the creators, your people are the drunks. They're both a part of dwarven society.
Yes.
But, yeah, no, absolutely. You can go ahead and start to make a weapon. You've got everything you would need to do so. Do you have any crafting skills of any kind?
That's what I've been kind of scouting. So as we're in here, I'm like kind of scouting my page
Right.
and like looking at stuff because like stone cutting.
Okay.
I'm gonna argue that you just like get like one of those ingots super hot and strike it on the anvil with Trixie.
Hedrick inspired you.
To shape it.
Yeah. Could I see? Would I use Trixie?
Would you?
I don't know.
It's the greatest hammer you've ever known.
Yeah, she's a skull smasher though, not a forager.
But you were blocking blows from Clangadin all those, months you were
Yeah, you're right.
training.
Yeah.
That's a strong hammer. A magical hammer. Why not use it on a magical fucking anvil, right?
Yep. Just starts hammering out. Hammering out with tricks.
Okay.
Oh.
So Hoblet heats up the ingot. He uses the tongs to move this heated ingot over to the anvil, pulls out Trixie and lowers it with a mighty blow, and crack! The head of Trixie splits in two. Both hands both fall away off of the handle and clang harmlessly on either side of the ingot, which has not changed at all. And
Hoblet's
lay
gonna drop down to
on
his knees.
the anvil.
If this is where you're ending it,
Oh, you know me.
Hoblet is on his knees about to sob.
And that is where we're going to end this episode of the Hapless Heroes podcast. If you like us and the terrible things I do to these people, you can find us on the internet. We are in such places as Reddit.r/Hapless Heroes podcast. We are on both Twitter and the Gram at Hapless Heroes. We can even be found on the Book of Faces. Search for Hapless Heroes podcast. Every single one of those will take you to the crown jewel of our internet presence, our Discord server, where you can meet and greet and associate with us reprobates on a daily basis. We have a number of channels about D&D and not D&D and all those other chunks of life that are in between those shades of gray between D&D and not D&D that we so love.
And you should probably join us. Yeah, as I say, you should probably join us on there because it looks like James is getting ready to quit the show now. So you got to convince him to stay.
I'm reading about what I can do.
If you really like us, you could leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. If your podcast service allows you to leave reviews, by all means, leave us one there. Just, be honest and tell the world, and it helps people find our show. More stars obviously gets us a little more visibility, but give us an honest review. Do what your heart tells you to do on that one. Now, if your podcast service, for whatever reason, doesn't allow it, we have in our Discord a channel called 5 Stars where you could also leave a review. Now, if you are overseas and leaving a review on the Apple Store over there, it might be a while before we see it, but we will try our hardest to find it. If we don't, just poke us. Now, if you really, really like us, you could donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/haplessheroes, where we have a variety of reward tiers that you can show your appreciation to our podcast in financial form. And we absolutely do use that to pay for our hosting costs and our equipment and, any maintenance to our equipment that we might need to do if something goes awry and we need to have a laptop fixed or something like that. Those are the those are the funds that keep this podcast running. We are eternally grateful to our patrons. Thank you so much. You help us do this without having to stick in shitty mid-roll ads. So thank you, and thank you.
And if you like us right now, you like us, build a set of ping pong playing robots and send them to Mars, and they'll live there forever playing ping pong, and give them a little boombox and have our podcast play it for them.
There you go.
These robots are going to have to be designed to play ping pong and adjust for the physics of the gravity of Mars too, which is really interesting.
God damn it.
That's why they're robots, because the table is so huge. They have to get from one side to the table to the other.
I don't think a middling human brain could even handle playing ping pong on Mars. That's why they've got to be robots.
Of course.
Well, there we have it.
Not to be, but did he skip the Sally Field in the whole deal? Did I miss?
He sure did.
You didn't do it right.
You didn't do the Zach right, Zach.
Do it again.
You know
dance,
what?
monkey, dance.
Nope. That's just what happened this week. All right.
Yeah, that's what it is, and we'll see how the audience reacts. But we can cut that part out and just let him
let him react.
Anyhow, there's nothing left for me to do but outro our cast, and I'm going to do it the same way I usually do it, by backing out the opposite way that I came in. So to my right, as the fabulous Felix Fizzlebottom, we have Francesco.
I have a plan.
To his right, as Lord Jarrell the Light, we have John.
Until next time.
To his right, we have Boris the Butcher, played by Nicole.
Who's Boris? I'm a dwarf. My name's Joris.
Joris and Gerald.
Couldn't have been Boris and Doris. Joris is way better though.
Joris.
To her right, we have Pregnart, played by Zach.
Pregnart is collecting a nice little film of goo. He's going to try to piece these pieces of Trixie back together using his natural adhesion.
Oh, God.
To his right, we have Hedrick the Entertainer, played by Phil.
I didn't think it was possible. He smashed Trixie.
To his right, we have Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind, played by Mike.
Literally still trying to get the dwarf funk off me from that hug.
And to his right, we have Hoblet the Smasher, played by James.
I'll be working on 500 words about how I fucked up Trixie.
And my name is Dave, and I've been your host and Dungeon Master for this evening. We will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, Trixie. Goodbye.
Fuck off.